Hey guys, what's going on? Josh here from Polymathics, the YouTube channel that helps you become a modern day Renaissance man. In this video, I'm going to be talking with all the writers, and particularly like novelists, screenwriters, anybody who writes fiction for this one. And essentially what I want to talk about is like what happens when you're writing a character or a scene and you're in a situation where you kind of wanted one thing to happen, but logically something else makes sense, but then it wouldn't, like the characters, it's not congruent with what the character said or did or something to that effect. So here's the deal. I get locked up on that all the time, and for me, I think the thing that causes me the most writer's block is when I run into scenarios like that, where I have maybe 2 or 3 options of what could happen. They each have their pros and cons because, you know, even world building, when I think about, say, the history of the universe that I'm in, or the religion that certain people believe in, and all this other stuff, while I'm doing that kind of world building, I get locked up. Like, which should it be and what should it do? Really quick, I want to give you guys super tip that's helped me move past that. And the bottom line is, it's basically, instead of trying to decide or choose between the 2, 3, 4 options that you have and just going with that one, sometimes, many times, what your mind isn't realizing is that you can use all of them and combine them. Here's the thing. In fiction in particular, when you go the route where there's multiple options, then it allows for various twists and turns in the fiction. For example, maybe a character is introduced as a police officer, but later on you find out that that's not true, and they're actually part of the bad guy team, or an undercover CIA agent, or something like that. I don't know, right? So in this sense, if you had an idea the person has to be, say, a police officer, but then they also have to be undercover CIA, or maybe they're a gardener and then they're also undercover CIA, you can put those two together and it actually makes the story more interesting. So a lot of times, I think as writers, we get caught up in those snags, and then we hit writer's block and we don't touch things, or we don't outline, or we totally get rid of one idea when it could work. Now, you guys are probably saying, okay, Josh, that's your idea, but like, does that actually happen in real fiction? The answer is yes. Look at Game of Thrones, at the religions that George R.R. Martin set up. So many times we see that they conflict, and sometimes something someone says is not agree, like it's not congruent with what something someone else says. And that's because there are legends, there are myths that different sects of people and factions of people believe. And so it just adds to the richness of the world, and then it's up to the reader or the audience to decipher what's going on. And the truth sometimes is in between. We also see this, for any of you guys who do video games, we see this in video games like Mass Effect, where, again, there's like multiple races, multiple religions. Some people see the Krogans as bad, some see them as good, and some are in between. The thing is, painting all the different sides and giving some red herrings and stuff like that can sometimes lead to a more richer story. And then the last thing I'll bring up is, you know, sometimes you might write yourself into this situation where someone has to die that you didn't want them to die, or something like that. The first thing is, and it's not always dying, it's like they have to kiss somebody, I don't know. Like, there's multiple avenues you could go with this, but there's some sort of action or result that you hadn't plotted out or planned for before, but it just makes sense. Like, it's how the characters would react, or that's how the situation would end up. Somebody would die, or, you know, whatever. If that happens, that's okay. Because in fiction in particular, especially if we're talking about fantasy or science fiction, like, the people can come back. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe they were in virtual reality. Maybe there are alternate universes. The Flash. So if you guys want to see a good example of what I'm talking about, watch the series The Flash. If you're familiar with it, what you'll see is, because of all the different time zone or timelines, and also the multiverse, Flash is able to run into people who have died, or like, for example, his mother, his father, HR, like, they're able to see each other again. And granted, technically, is it the same character? No, because it's like from an alternate universe. But the point is, sometimes allowing a character to die is the best for that scene. But the problem is you as the writer, you're afraid to let that person go. Maybe you care about them or whatever, but you can always bring them back. Another good show to study about that type of writing is Heroes. In Heroes, people die and come back, or things happen that you think, like, I remember one time they showed where Hero is one of the characters, his best friend, I forget his name, but they show him like fighting him in the beginning of the season, and they're fighting and they're battling, and Hero's like really hesitant against his best friend, and then later on what comes to find out is it was somebody who was using like shape-shifting to simulate being his best friend. And so there's all different ways to do it. You just have to be creative. It actually makes the creative juices flow even more. So hopefully this has been helpful. I was thinking about something that's minute, or not minute, micro, that I could give you guys a tactic on that would help with writing. So hope this helps, and I'll see you guys in another video. Take it easy.